Good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot. Let's get to the next edition of Chanakya Defense Dialogues, right? And we're going to talk about Indus Water Treaty, a relook. And to talk about this, like I said yesterday, is with me General KJ Singh, who's a real expert and knowledgeable person on this subject. First and foremost, let me welcome him. Sir, good evening and welcome to Gunner Shot once again. It's a pleasure to have you back here.
Thank you, Shankar. And once again, let me compliment you for your channel, which is become, a very sort of light medium for understanding issues related to national security. And let me also compliment you for choice of your subject, because normally we Indians are not uh, aware about water as a resource, water as a leverage, water if it can be used as a weapon. We have very romantic notions about water. So I must compliment you that you have chosen to bring it into national security dialogue. So compliments to you, and I hope your viewers, I'll once again request you that please like, subscribe, press the bell icon, and be part of this medium, because if this medium is growing, a lot of credit has to go to viewers. You're making it grow. So congratulations, and please join this movement.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for the compliment. And it is, like you rightly said, it's all due to the viewers. But let me set the stage. What are we going to speak? We're going to speak of three subjects today. First, I'd like General KJ Singh to give a brief idea about the book he's written. And it's going to be launched shortly. And we're going to have a book discussion on what he's written sometime down the line, a week later. The second, of course, we'll talk about the Indus Water Treaty also. I mean, that's the main subject. And lastly, towards the end, we'll spend a few minutes because there is news coming in. We don't know whether it's confirmed or not. That Yahya Sinwar, who's the leader now of Hamas after Ismail Hania's termination, I believe he's been killed in an airstrike. And there are a lot of pictures floating. And this has implications. We'll discuss this in the end. But that's not the main thing. Main thing is Indus Water Treaty. But before Indus Water Treaty, I'd request General KJ Singh, sir, could you speak a few minutes about your book?
Firstly, Jan Shankar, thank you very much. And I promise you I'll not take more than 3 to 4 minutes.
No, take as much time, sir, no issue.
Friends, I have published my first book. It is called General's Jottings. Now, I write a column in newspaper with the same title, which is called General's Jottings. Initially, Jalpanag, later Jal Huda, they also used to alternate, but then they left. Now, this column I have been writing for about 7 years. I have written about 200 plus columns, and columns are typically 900 words. But I have been writing articles in different fora, also in USI Yearbook, Clause. So what I felt is there's a need to put them together, curate them, arrange them subject-wise, and update them, and make a primer kind of thing for people who want to understand about national security. So I told my publisher, keep it low cost, paperback. He was pushing me again and again. I said, no, paperback. It's a little thick book, 400 pages, but it covers issues of national security. Even IWT is covered in that. I have also in the initial portion given you a template on how should you look at problems of national security. So since I was a chair professor, I am currently honorary professor and professor of practice So I do have some idea about needs of our people who want to understand national security. So an endeavor in that direction. It can be ordered on Amazon. It can be pre-ordered also, a signed copy, not very expensive, about 650 rupees. But it's money's worth. You have a lot of maps, tables, graphs, and a lot of key takeaways. And I've also tried to keep it interesting. So try your hand and think of reading my first book. And now let's get on to Indus Water Treaty,
Yes,
which
sir.
is
Before you
the
before you
subject.
this thing, I must put in two bits uh, to everyone. Please buy this book. Knowing General KJ Singh from the times we were together in NDA, it will be interesting. And having interacted with him, he's always brought a different perspective and a very sane and a balanced perspective. And he's always, when he speaks with a lot of depth. So I would recommend buying this book. Okay. So now let's start talking about the Indus Water Treaty. So I yield to your. Please carry on, sir.
See, friends, uh, last year in January, India told Pakistan in a semi formal manner that we will need to review the Indus Water Treaty. And this year, on 30th of September, India served a formal notice, rather on 30th of August, my fault, 30th of August, to Pakistan, telling Pakistan that we are telling you under Article 12.3 of this treaty, we need to renegotiate this treaty. See, there is a belief that treaties cannot be revoked. There are conventions, but you see China next to us, what it does with its treaties. But India is not like China. India is a responsible country. So in this treaty, there is a provision that if the circumstances have changed, then the treaty can be renegotiated. It can be reviewed. So a 64-year-old treaty, which has survived 3.5 wars, 3.5 लड़ाइयां, 47, 65, 71, कारगिल, और हम सियाचिन की तो बात ही नहीं कर रहे, और छुटपुट होती रही, और प्रॉक्सी वॉर जो कि चल रहा है कितनी डिकेड से, उसके बावजूद भी ये ट्रीटी चल रही थी किसी ना किसी तरीके से. Now India has said we want to review and renegotiate. So the question arises, why? Why has this happened? Because India has said there are fundamental and far-reaching changes which have taken place. So what are those changes? क्या है वो जिसकी वजह से हमको ऐसा करना पड़ा? क्या अनफोर्सीन सर्कमस्टांसेस थे जो अब हमारे सामने आ गए? देखिए, सबसे पहले तो क्लाइमेट चेंज. नोबडी हैड थॉट कि क्लाइमेट चेंज होगा, जिसकी वजह से ग्लेशियर्स आर रिसीडिंग, water availability is reducing, rainfall patterns are changing, distribution, frequency, and amount, all three are changing. There are frequent disasters, floods. So all these factors are in one head of climate change. Now the second head, there are demographic compulsions. The valleys of these rivers have got influx of people, populations. Livelihood needs have changed. There is increased need in Jhelum for navigation up. Boats should have, the draft, the depth बोट को जाने के लिए. तो उसके अलावा इंडस्ट्रियल एक्टिविटी, अभी आज तो ये भी बोला जा रहा है कि ये जो चाइना कर रहा है, तिब्बत, अक्साई चिन, सक्सगाम वैली, these are sources of the biggest sources of clean fresh water, which is required in humongous quantities. मतलब बहुत बड़ी तादाद में, मात्रा में, क्वांटिटीज में चाहिए अगर आपने सिलिकॉन चिप्स बनानी है। तो ये सब सर्कमस्टांसेस 1950 में तो नहीं सोचे गए थे। They were not thought of. Now they have become a reality. So India is rightly flagging these. एक और बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है, इंडिया की जो पर कैपिटा फ्रेश वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी है वो वर्ल्ड में लोएस्ट। इंडिया आज वर्ल्ड का सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलेटेड कंट्री है, 18% ग्लोबल पॉपुलेशन इज हियर, लेकिन हमारे पास सिर्फ 4% फ्रेश वाटर, 4% वाटर फॉर 18% पॉपुलेशन। You know, we have only 90 days reserve of fresh water. There are countries which have 2 to 3 years reserve. 2-2, 3-3 साल का रिजर्व है उनके पास पानी का, हमारे पास तो नहीं है। और वाटर एक ऐसी चीज है जो इंक्रीजिंगली टेंशन का कॉज बनती जा रही है। परवेज मुशर्रफ ने अपनी आरसीडीएस की थीसिस में लिखा था कि इंडिया और पाकिस्तान में जो अगला वॉर होगा वो वाटर के ऊपर हो, उसका ट्रिगर वाटर ही हो। आप इंडिया में ही देख लो, कावेरी के ऊपर हर साल तमिलनाडु और कर्नाटका में लड़ाइयां होती हैं। अभी अभी दामोदर रिवर में ममता जी ने बोला कि झारखंड ने हमारे साथ धोखा किया। और कितनी रिवर वाटर डिस्प्यूट्स हैं जो ट्रिब्यूनल के सामने पड़ी है, इराडी ट्रिब्यूनल और कई सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज इसको देख रहे हैं, उसका कोई सॉल्यूशन नहीं होता। और अगर सॉल्यूशन हो भी जाए तो जो अवार्ड दिया जाता है उसको कंटेस्ट करते, देन दे गो टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट। लाइक इराडी इज नाउ करंटली इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट। तो और आपने देखा होगा वाटर यूज टू फ्लो थ्रू रावी फ्रॉम इंडिया टू पाकिस्तान, लेकिन पंजाब ने सतलज यमुना कैनाल को रोक दिया, पानी नहीं जाने दिया हरियाणा में। इंडिया और बांग्लादेश की जो रिलेशनशिप है वो सॉल्व हो सकती थी, पहले ही सॉल्व हो जाती। तीस्ता का वाटर लीन सीजन में अगर बांग्लादेश को दे दिया जाए तो काफी सॉल्यूशन है प्रॉब्लम का, लेकिन ममता जी ने मना कर दिया एन मौके पर, क्योंकि ये पॉलिटिकली एक बड़ी इमोशन चार्ज इशू है। तो वाटर इज इंक्रीजिंगली गोइंग टू बिकम अ वेपन। और जब भी इसकी बातचीत करते हैं तो लॉट ऑफ पीपल से कि हमको भी संभल के रहना चाहिए, चाइना हमारे ऊपर अपर राइपेरियन स्टेट, तो चाइना हमारे साथ क्या करे। तो देखिए ऐसा है, विद चाइना वी हैव 2 rivers where it is very significant. One is Brahmaputra, which is called Sangpo in Tibet. तो ब्रह्मपुत्र में जो वाटर आता है वो मतलब तिब्बत से अबाउट 40 to 50% आता है। बैलेंस वो इसी बेसिन में इकट्ठा होता है, बारिश और ट्रिब्यूटरीज की मदद से इकट्ठा होता है पानी। तो फर्क तो पड़ेगा, लेकिन हमारा डर उससे भी ज्यादा ये है कि सांगपो पे एक जगह है जिसको बोलते हैं ग्रेट बैंड, जहां पर सडनली ऑल्टीट्यूड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ फीट रिड्यूस हो जाती है। तो चाइना ने उसका फायदा लेकर यारलुंग जांगबो ग्रेट बैंड में एक डैम बनाने का काम शुरू कर रखा, और ये 18,000 मेगावाट का डैम होगा, मतलब इतनी बिजली इकट्ठे वो कर देगा। लेकिन उससे भी ज्यादा ये बोला जा रहा है कि यहां पर एक चैनल बनाई जा रही है जो यहां से पानी को निकाल कर टकला मकान डेजर्ट में ले जाए, क्योंकि चाइना इज अ वाटर स्ट्रेस कंट्री। लार्ज पार्ट ऑफ चाइना हैव प्रॉब्लम ऑफ वाटर, सो चाइना इज प्लानिंग टू डू दिस। लेकिन हमारा खतरा पानी निकालने से नहीं है, हमारा खतरा यह है कि चाइना अगर बिना वार्निंग के पानी रिलीज कर दे, जैसे उसने किया था कुछ साल पहले,
सतलज,
तो नीचे फ्लड्स आ जाए। तो उसके अगेंस्ट बफर के लिए जो अपर सियांग है, सियांग रिवर, वहां पर इंडिया एक मेगा रिजर्वायर और डैम बना रहा है। 1100 मेगावाट बनाएगा, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा है एक मेगा रिजर्वायर जिसमें यह कैपेबिलिटी होगी कि चाइना अगर वाटर छोड़े तो वो वाटर वहां पर एक बफर के तौर पे हो जाए, और उससे हमें कंट्रोल मिल जाएगा वाटर पे कि लीन पीरियड में हम छोड़ सकें, बाकी पीरियड में हम स्टोर कर सकें। लेकिन इसमें देयर आर सीरियस प्रॉब्लम्स। प्रॉब्लम इज ऑफ सबमर्जेंस, displacement of people, and there is currently a agitation against it. I was in Arunachal recently. A lot of effort is being put in, but people are as yet not ready. But they'll have to be convinced. It's a project of strategic importance. हमसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है बांग्लादेश।
बांग्लादेश
बांग्लादेश डूब सकता है, बांग्लादेश स्टार्व हो सकता है। ये सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है बांग्लादेश में। नाउ वी मे से एनीथिंग अबाउट अपर राइपेरियन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, बट वी मस्ट नो वेरी क्लियरली चाइना विल डू व्हाट इट वांट्स टू डू, एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज नॉट चाइनाज कैरेक्टर। अगर आपको कोई शक है तो आप जो ब्रह्मपुत्र में फ्लड्स आई थी वो देख लो। सियांग रिवर में जो काला पानी आया था, color of water was so dark, I don't know what they released. सतलज में पारेचू में जो फ्लड्स आई थी, जहां पर हमारे हाइडल प्रोजेक्ट्स डिस्ट्रॉय हुए थे, हमारे मिलिट्री स्टेशन करचम और ये डिस्ट्रॉय हो गए थे। उसके अलावा अगर आपको कोई शक हो तो मेकोंग रिवर जो डेल्टा कंट्रीज है उसमें चले जाओ, लाओस, कंबोडिया, वियतनाम, दे विल टेल यू। अगर हम चाइना को एक गाली देते हैं तो वो 5 देते हैं। दे गिव 5 abuses to China.
Yeah, it's more, a little more than that, sir.
Maybe more than that. तो जनशंकर इज वेरी करेक्ट। तो दैट इज द कंडीशन। तो चाइना के बारे में रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एक्सपेक्ट मत करो, प्रिपेयर फॉर द वर्स्ट, डोंट बैंक ऑन मोर देन 50% जो हमारी बेसिन का है, बट केटर फॉर बफर कि अगर वो फ्लड लाने की कोशिश करे तो हम पानी को इंपाउंड कर सके। दैट इज द वे टू गो फॉरवर्ड। एज रिगार्ड इंडस रिवर, चाइना टिबेट, चाइना तो बोलना ही नहीं चाहिए आजकल। आई विल रिक्वेस्ट ऑल व्यूअर्स टू स्टार्ट कॉलिंग इट टिबेट। चाइना तो वो है जो कि अलग है, ये जो ऑटोनोमस रीजन है ये तो टिबेट है। सो टिबेट से तो सिर्फ 8 से 10% पानी आता है इंडस, बाकी बेसिन में इकट्ठा होता है और दूसरी ट्रिब्यूटरीज लेके आती है। तो वी शुड नॉट वरी अबाउट इट। इन एनी केस आवर रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ इंडस वाटर इज मिनिमल, क्योंकि ले के अंदर कोई ऐसी एग्रीकल्चर नहीं होती जिसमें जो वाटर इंटेंसिव, जो भी हमारी नीड्स है, माइक्रो हाइडल प्रोजेक्ट, विंड एनर्जी, जियोथर्मल एनर्जी, उससे पूरी हो सकती। और अगर पार चाहिए तो हम दूसरे स्टेट से वहां ट्रांसपोर्ट कर सकते। तो हमको इसके ऊपर ज्यादा कोई वरी या वो नहीं सोचना चाहिए। हमको ये मान के चलना चाहिए कि चाइना वो करेगा जो उसके मन में आता है। अभी एक और प्रॉब्लम है कि पाकिस्तान ने हमारे साथ पुलवामा, उससे पहले पठानकोट, फिर पुलवामा से पहले उड़ी भी हुआ, पठानकोट, उड़ी, पुलवामा, बालाकोट, ये सब हुए। तो इस टाइम पर हमारे पीएम मोदी ही सेड कि टेरर एंड वाटर कैनॉट बी अलाउड टू फ्लो टुगेदर। एज ए पॉलिसी इट्स अ वेरी लॉडेबल स्टेप एंड it needs to be done because but the only problem is water is a resource which if you can't use it instantaneously, then you have to store it in a reservoir. Even to use it, you need to put it in a reservoir. You have to put a dam, you have to put a reservoir, and reservoirs and dams require capital expenditure, require gestation period. It can take 10 to 12 to 15 years to make a dam and create a reservoir. So we are in this process. We are doing it. अच्छा, एक और प्रॉब्लम था. A couple of years back, we had Tehri Garhwal Dam, which broke. And there were some minor dams also which broke. There was flooding. So hydropower became a dirty word. कोई उसकी बात ही नहीं करता था. लोग कहते थे ये इकोलॉजिकली परमिटेड नहीं है, ये इनकरेक्ट, ये इकोलॉजी को डिस्टर्ब करते. अभी भी इसके ऊपर काफी वो चलता है. सो दैट वाज द सिचुएशन. बट व्हेन दिस क्लाइमेट चेंज, सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट, ग्रीन एनर्जी became the new normal, then people realized, क्योंकि जब हमने हाइड्रो पावर या पहली जनरेशन में हमने बाटा नांगल, रंजीत सागर, पोंग डैम ये सब बनाए थे, लेकिन फिर रोक दिए. और पूरे वर्ल्ड में एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड इन्वेस्टिंग इन थर्मल पावर, विच इज नॉट अ क्लीन एनर्जी, विच इज अ वेरी डर्टी एनर्जी. लेकिन नाउ द पेंडुलम हैज swung back. People are willing to accept hydral projects. So we are making these, and we have restarted this initiative. We'll talk about it a little later. So now let me get to Indus Water Treaty. See, I intentionally kept it towards this side because initially it is important. We have spoken about Indus Water Treaty earlier also. It is important to understand the drivers for review, why we are doing this. Now, Indus Water Treaty was signed way back in 1960. जब यह साइन हुई थी तो इंडिया का स्टेट बहुत पुअर था. We were living on ship to mouth existence. We used to get the ships from USA, PL 480, उसमें ग्रेन्स आता था और हम उसको, लाल रंग की रोटी होती थी, some of you would have eaten, हम तो बच्चे थे, and we used to keep a fast on half a day. So in those days, there was a leverage of World Bank on us. We were not a rich country. We were very poor. So now latest there have been leakage of some or declassification of some records by America, which prove and which bring out that Americans and World Bank decided to put India in its place. This treaty was as a result of that. It was an unequal treaty. And what you must also realize is, when partition happened, whatever method was used, Madhavpur headworks on Ravi River and Hussainiwala headwork on Satluj were retained in India. despite the original plan saying that both will go to Pakistan. Please, my friends, understand this fact that the railway line between Pathankot and Jammu was made only in 1971. There's no railway line. If you wanted to go to Jammu before partition, you had to go to Sialkot, go to Rawalkot, come to Poonch, and come to Jammu. If you wanted to go to Srinagar, you went to Sialkot, you went to Mirpur, Muzaffarabad, Baramulla, and Srinagar. वो था रास्ता तो. But after, in 60s, we tried to improve our roads. I still remember when I was commissioned, we used to go to Samba and Jammu by commission. I'm saying in 80s, the road was, there were no bridges. There was only causeways, जिसके ऊपर से पानी भी चलता है. So that was that India. Somewhere you have to give credit to those guys. उन लोगों को इतना तो आपको क्रेडिट देना ही पड़ेगा जिन्होंने कोई भी मैकेनिज्म लगाकर ये एडवर्क इंडिया में रखवा दिया. तो ये ट्रीटी साइन होगी. इस ट्रीटी में क्या बोला गया कि भाई जो 3 ईस्टर्न रिवर है वो इंडिया को दे दो पूरी की पूरी, और जो 3 वेस्टर्न रिवर्स हैं, ईस्टर्न का मतलब जो आपकी सतलज, ब्यास और रावी, ये ब्यास तो सतलज में आके मिली भी जाती है, तो पाकिस्तान तो 2 ही रिवर जाती है हमसे, तो ये कहते हैं पूरी की पूरी इंडिया रख ले. और जो 3 वेस्टर्न रिवर्स हैं, चेनाब, झेलम और इंडस, इसका अबाउट 85% शेयर पाकिस्तान को दिया गया. ये एक चीज जो people do not know is कि India was given 3.6 MAF worth of general storage. ये दिया गया हमको. We could have generated 18,653 megawatt of power, लेकिन हमने किया कुछ भी नहीं. हमारा अभी 20% है उसमें से, and that is legitimately us. तो इंडिया इज रेडी टू फॉलो रन ऑफ द रिवर, कि हम वाटर को जो हमारी नीड्स है उतना यूज करके रेस्ट कैन गो टू पाकिस्तान. एंड बेस्ड ऑन दिस, इंडिया मेड बिग डैम्स ऑन its eastern rivers. Bhakra Nangal on the Satluj River, Gobind Sagar. We made Rana Pratap Sagar and Pong Dam. We made Ranjit Sagar Dam. तो ये डैम हमने बनाए. Ranjit Sagar was on Ravi. Pong Dam is on Byas. So all these dams were made. And India started using this water effectively, or whatever it is. There were lacunas, like Ravi dam was made, but the balancing reservoir could not be made because of fight between Punjab and J&K on issues of pricing of electricity, sharing of electricity. So lot of water used to flow from Ravi into Pakistan, because to exercise positive control over water, you need what is called balancing reservoir. आप कभी भी डैम्स के बारे में पढ़ो तो you should be, you should say that I am a viewer of gunner shot, and अपने फ्रेंड को आप शो ऑफ कर सकते हो, बोल सकते हो कि बैलेंसिंग रिजर्वर का पता है तुम्हें क्या होता है, बिना उसके कैसे पॉजिटिव कंट्रोल. डैम है, डैम के पीछे रिजर्वायर है, आपने डैम कर दिया, आगे कहाँ है रिजर्वायर? आगे भी तो होना है ना वाटर को चेक करने के लिए. तो दैट इज व्हाट हैज बीन कमीशन दिस ईयर. सम पीपल से इट इज 95% commission, but whatever it is, now it has been done. And उस लड़ाई के बीच में सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट took charge. They said it will be centrally funded project और हम इसको करेंगे. अच्छा मेरे दोस्तों, आपको ये जान के हैरानी होगी कि पॉलिटिशियंस लड़ते थे. मैं एज ए आर्मी कमांडर आई यूज्ड टू गो एंड स्पीक टू देम. दे यूज्ड टू कीप फाइटिंग. आर्मी इज वेरी इंटरेस्टेड इन दिस. अगर इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी के इंप्लीमेंटेशन में प्रोग्रेस हो रही है, some credit will have to be given to us, particularly the Western Command. एक तो हमारे पास डेटा ही नहीं था हाइड्रोलॉजिकल, उसके बिना आप प्लानिंग कैसे कर सकते हो? ओल्ड डेटा था, उसको 2 बार आर्मी ने आईआईटी से अपडेट कराया, आईआईटी रुड़की से पैसे देके. यू कांट डू एनीथिंग फ्री टुडे. आर्मी ने ये जो रंजीत सागर का जो बैलेंसिंग रिजर्वोयर है, इस पे हल्ला मचाया. क्यों करता है आर्मी? बिकॉज इफ यू हैव पॉजिटिव कंट्रोल ओवर वाटर, you can use it both for defensive and offensive purposes. You can release water as you want. You can withhold water. You can create gaps to attack. Lot of options are there. And अभी जो ये शाहपुर कांडी से जो बैलेंसिंग रिजर्वोयर बना है, इससे वाटर तवी लिंक कैनाल में जाएगा, जो कि जम्मू कठुआ सांबा के इलाके में जो डीसीबी और कनाल है, उसमें वो जो जिसमें पानी नहीं होता था, अब वाटर ऑब्स्टिकल हो. तो इट्स अ मेजर डिफेंसिव accretion that has happened. Similarly, Husainiwala, the gates were leaking. Water used to flow to Pakistan from Satluj, फिरोजपुर के पास से. तो army again flagged it. Again, Punjab and Rajasthan were fighting on cost of repairs. Then central government said, हम देंगे पैसे, तुम करो. और अब हो गया रिपेयर. I have checked it. So, like this, our country has challenges like this, which have to be overcome somehow. And you'll be glad to know कि we are now making steady progress. क्या प्रोग्रेस कर रहे हैं? जैसे कि हम किशनगंगा रिवर पे एक रन ऑफ द रिवर प्रोजेक्ट, क्योंकि चाइना नीलम, इसको ये जब रिवर चाइना में जाती है, इसको नीलम रिवर कहते हैं. पाकिस्तान में जाती है, सॉरी, पर चाइना में इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि इसके ऊपर चाइनीज इंजीनियर चाइनीज फंडिंग से डैम बना रहे हैं उस साइड. सो इंडिया हैज राइटली सेड वी विल ऑल्सो हैव अ रन ऑफ द रिवर प्रोजेक्ट. चाइना एंड पाकिस्तान की ये जो कोलिजिविटी है, दैट इज शोइंग इन नीलम रिवर प्रोजेक्ट. सो नीलम के ऊपर ये है, जिसके ऊपर पाकिस्तान ने बहुत ऑब्जेक्शंस किए. मैं आपको भी थोड़ी देर में बताता हूं. झेलम में हम एक प्रोजेक्ट चलाना चाहते हैं, तुल बुल नेविगेशन प्रोजेक्ट, जहां पे हम एक बराज बनाएंगे जिसका नाम है वुल्लर बराज, जिसकी मदद से झेलम में जो वाटर की डेप्थ है वो मेंटेन की जाएगी और जो बोट्स और शिकारा हैं वो ऊपर तक आ सकते हैं. टूरिज्म, फिशरीज, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, लाइवलीहुड नीड्स, चेंज सर्कमस्टांसेस. चिनाब के ऊपर हमने सबसे पहले एक डैम बनाया था जिसका नाम है सलाल डैम, जो रियासी टाउन के साथ है, एकदम साथ. वो भी बुरी तरीके से सिल्टिंग हो गया. पाकिस्तान डीसिल्टिंग ही नहीं करने देता. उसके पीछे हमने एक और डैम बना दिया, बगलीहार. जब बगलीहार डैम बना 2014 में, जब वो बना और उसमें पानी भरा गया रिजर्वायर में, तो पाकिस्तान में 30% क्रॉप लॉस हो गया एक ही सीजन में. दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ लेवरेज वी हैव. They are all run of the river as per the treaty. India is not violating the treaty. लेकिन रेजर्वायर बनाना हमें अलाउड है. उसमें वाटर को रिटेन कर सकते हो जितना कि पावर जनरेशन के लिए चाहिए. तो वी आर मेकिंग कपल ऑफ मोर प्रोजेक्ट्स. रातले, लोअर कालनाई, बरसर, पक्कल डुल, ये सब बना रहे हैं और काम चल रहा है। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस? और हम ही नहीं यार, पाकिस्तान ने भी तो डैम बनाए हैं, तरबेला, और ये उनका जो
मांगला
फेमस डैम है मंगला,
मांगला
मंगला डैम, ये सब बनाए उन्होंने। और उसी की वजह से उन्होंने कनाल से पानी ला के, लिंक कनाल से पंजाब को सर्विस करते हो इसको इरिगेशन के लिए। और अब भी बना रहा है पाकिस्तान। पाकिस्तान दासू डैम बना रहा है इंडस पे, और कोहाला डैम बना रहा है झेलम पे, सीपैक के नीचे, जो कि डिस्प्यूटेड टेरिटरी, इंडिया की परमिशन भी नहीं ली है। हमको कह रहे हैं इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी। और मजेदार बात यह है कि पाकिस्तान ने इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी को मिसयूज किया है फॉर। इससे पहले मैं एक चीज और बता दूं, पाकिस्तान को वाटर मैनेजमेंट आता ही। दे हैव हैड फ्लड्स, दे हैव हाई डिग्री ऑफ सैलिनिटी, द रिवर इटसेल्फ इज रिसीडेड, and there are interstate disputes in Pakistan also. Kala Bagh and other people who are at the lower end of the river are fighting. So because of that, this Kohala Dam is run of the river. Because lower down people are saying no, don't impound the water. And Dasu, where it is being made, large segment of population is going to get displaced. And मजेदार बात यह है, डिस्प्लेस पॉपुलेशन गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में, और जो पावर प्रोजेक्ट का पावर स्टेशन है वो खैबर पख्तूनख्वा में। तो अगर उसकी रॉयल्टी होगी तो वो उनको मिलेगी, और जो डंडा लगा है वो गिलगिटी को लगा है। कमाल है यार, ऐसा कैसे कर सकते कि शियाज को धक्का मार दो और सुन्नीस पैसे रॉयल्टी के ले लो। तो दिस इज द पाकिस्तान माइंडसेट। बट allow me to come back. So IWT जो ये होती है इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी, इसको रेगुलेट करने के लिए एक इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी कमिश्नर होते हैं पाकिस्तान में और इंडिया में। एनुअल उनकी मीटिंग होती है। इंडिया जो भी प्रोजेक्ट उसमें फील्ड करता है उसके ऊपर पाकिस्तान टेक्निकल होल्ड डाल देता है। टेक्निकल होल्ड, रोक दो, होल्ड, वो ब्लॉक लगा देता है, उसके ऊपर ऑब्जेक्शन डाल देता है, और ये प्रोसेस चलती रहती है। कोई भी प्रोजेक्ट डाल दो। अच्छा, और उसको रिड्रेसल करने के लिए जब हम उसको डिस्प्यूट रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म में लेके जाते हैं तो पाकिस्तान और भी गदर करता है। लाइक पिछली बार हमको बागलीहार के टाइम पे पाकिस्तान कोर्ट ऑफ आर्बिट्रेशन में ले गया था। उन्होंने हमारे फेवर में जजमेंट दिया और हमारी डिजाइन को माइनर मॉडिफिकेशन करके अप्रूव कर दिया। हमारे जो डिजाइनर्स हैं वो काफी फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग। जैसे कि अगर आप सलाल डैम को भी देख लो, जो रियासी के पास है, चिनाब रिवर के ऊपर। चिनाब रिवर का नाम चंद्रभागा भी है, और कई लोग ये भी कहते हैं कि चंद्रभागा का पानी आप नीचे लाके रावी में डाल सकते। बहुत ambitious project, nobody has worked on it till now. So let us go back to Riyasi Dam. Riyasi Dam is badly silted, but Indian engineers who designed it were so forward looking that they have left plugs which can be easily broken and silt got released. So but Pakistan is not aligned. तो पाकिस्तान अभी क्या हुआ रिसेंटली, जो ये हमारे प्रोजेक्ट थे रातले जो कि चिनाब पे है, किशन गंगा को दोबारा से, मतलब एक बार रिजॉल्व हो गया फिर दोबारा से इसको वो न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट्स के पास लेके। तो एक प्रोविजन है ट्रीटी में कि आप न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट के पास जा सकते हो, वो उसको रिजॉल्व कर देगा। इंडिया एक्सेप्टेड इट। अभी सितंबर के महीने में डेलीगेशन भी आया था, पाकिस्तान का भी और न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट का भी आया था। लेकिन पाकिस्तान ने रियलाइज किया कि ये न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट शायद इंडिया के फेवर में डिसीजन दे देगा। तो साइमल्टेनियसली उन्होंने कोर्ट ऑफ आर्बिट्रेशन में चले गए। मतलब एक ही प्रॉब्लम को दो डिस्प्यूट रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म में ले जाके खड़ा कर दिया, जस्ट टू डिले। क्योंकि न्यूट्रल एक्सपर्ट का जो डिसीजन है वो जल्दी आ जाता है, और कोर्ट ऑफ आर्बिट्रेशन इज लाइक अ कोर्ट, तारीख पे तारीख आप खींच सकते हो उसको। सो इंडिया नाउ दिस टाइम, सी एवरी डिले means increase in cost. It's not easy. So India has said enough is enough. India is boycotting court of arbitration. India is not participating. And India has got so fed up that India has served this notice. कि आप ना तो आपको तरीका आता है, nor are you realizing India needs this water. And water कौन सा जो हमको दिया है यार, हम कोई एक्स्ट्रा थोड़ी मांग रहे हैं भाई। इंडस वाटर ट्रीटी का 80% वाटर तो आपको मिल ही रहा है, पाकिस्तान को 20% ही हमारा है ना। उस 20% में जो ईस्टर्न रिवर है उसमें तो उनका कोई हक ही नहीं, वो हमारे कंट्रोल में है। जो वेस्टर्न रिवर है, चेनाब और झेलम और इंडस, उसमें हमें भी तो शेयर दिया गया है, लाइवलीहुड के लिए, फ्लड कंट्रोल के लिए, इरिगेशन के लिए, पावर जनरेशन के लिए। तो हम उसको यूज नहीं करेंगे? ये तो ट्रीटी में भी लिखा है। एंड ऑल आवर प्रोजेक्ट्स आर बेस्ड ऑन रन ऑफ द रिवर। सो वेयर इज द प्रॉब्लम? और देखिए पाकिस्तान की मेंटेलिटी देखिए, अभी आप अगर रावी है जो पंजाब में है और चिनाब जो JNK में है, उसके बीच में ये जम्मू कठुआ सांबा में देर आर छोटा छोटा रिवर्स, यू नो, जैसे कि तरना, देग, उसको पाकिस्तान में बिसंतर कहते हैं। अब ये जो रिवर्स हैं, इसके ऊपर इंडिया ने माइनर इरिगेशन और हाइडल प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाना शुरू किया। पाकिस्तान IWT मिलेगा भाई, IWT का लेना देना ही नहीं है, वो इंडस वाटर की, इंडस की ट्रिब्यूटरी नहीं है। सो पाकिस्तान मतलब व्हाट शुड आई से, बेसिक mentality is to somehow stall it, somehow not allow India to proceed forward. Now, somewhere Pakistan should realize that beyond a point, India can do what China is doing. जो मर्जी आए करो, but India doesn't want to do that. India is a responsible nation. It has asked for renegotiation and so this terror is another factor. But India needs the water, and India has legitimate claims on this water. It needs to use it. That is my major point of this entire discussion today.
Yeah, I think, sir, that you gave out a very nice way everything of why this Indus Water Treaty is going to get renegotiated and modified. I won't say renegotiated fully, it's going to be modified. And so that our interests are taken care of. I think.
And Shankar, it's so easy. अगर पाकिस्तान ये छुटपुट बदमाशियां बंद कर देना तो इंडिया मान जाएगा. We've been going along with this.
Yeah. And I must also tell all of you, amplify a little what's happening in Pakistan. Like what General KJ Singh said, Pakistan has not managed its water resources well. Their main dams are Mangla and Tarbela. Both are silted. You know, in summer season, वहां से पानी नहीं निकलता. One. Number two, Pakistan has used excessive groundwater, and as a result, their groundwater, extraction is so high that these canals and rivers which they have made, they don't cater enough. And Pakistan's dependence on agriculture is far more than what we have. In fact, about 60% of the people depend on agriculture, though it's only 20% of the GDP. In terms of people, And Pakistan has tremendous population explosion. So they don't have storage. Their population is going up. Their groundwater extraction is going up. That is why Indus water doesn't come to down to Karachi, and that's what salinity is coming up, which General KJ Singh was saying. And of course, these dams like Kohala and Dasu are actually small. They don't make good for what they're losing. And they're also building one more at Kalabag. They've been trying to build for the past 14 years. Nothing has happened. ऊपर डायमर बाशा बना रहे हैं, वो भी सेम प्रॉब्लम. और पावर स्टेशन केपी में है और उनका डैम है गिलगिट बाल्टिस्तान में. So they're all issues. So to get out of, I wouldn't say get out, to extract from India, they're putting all these stories. But then we'll have our way through. Sir, don't you think it's time that we also say, okay, fine, we'll modify. If the modification doesn't come through, we just go ahead with what we have to do. We'll modify
We
in the
are
way we want and carry on.
actually, our projects on Chenab are progressing, regardless of what they are saying.
What they're doing.
We have not stopped our construction. But only problem is, Shankar, in these states, it's not easy to get private sector like L&T or
And all to come into it,
we have, I don't know for what reasons. I think we should have got some of them there. We have given these projects to JK Power Construction or Hydropower Corporation. Now these are public sector state enterprises which have their own problems. But projects are going on. Handholding is being done so that, but it will take time. It can't happen overnight because terrain is so bad. If any one of you has inclination, you should go and visit areas like Doda, Kishtwar, Riyasi, and see some of these areas and get a feel yourself. And there is no serious insurgency going there. That happens only occasionally. But you make a trip to Vaishno Mata, go to Patni Top, and from there you can go to these places.
Yeah. A second thing which I wanted to clarify, sir, is that irrespective of what we do, we still at the end of the day have to send waters into Pakistan. Unless we have those link canals, whether it's Ravi Bias link canal or Satluj Yamuna link canal, because until we do inter-basin water transfer from the Indus, where water is surplus, to the Ganga basin, where water is deficient and the abadi jada hai. So we are in a problem and we are still not able to sort it. So we are not doing too much about it. Your views on that?
No, Jan Shankar, you are right. There was a project which was called Chandrabhaga link channel. So that concept was that you tap Chenab in which is called Chandrabhaga, and from there get the water into Ravi, and from Ravi then service the irrigation network which is in Punjab. You can even send it to Rajasthan and parts. After all, Delhi में हर साल लड़ाई होती है water के लिए. So all that can happen. And like what Jan Shankar is saying, see, even after you have all these dams, headworks, a river also has its basin. So water accrues there. So like on Ravi, you have this Ranjit Sagar Dam, you have Shahpur Kandi, you have something called as Madhopur regulator. But उसके आगे भी तो रावी है ना, तो वाटर तो उधर इकट्ठा हो जाता है, कुछ छोटी ट्रिब्यूटरीज आ जाती हैं, नाले ज्वाइन कर लेते हैं. So if water has to be made a zero flow to Pakistan, then you need to, just before it goes to Pakistan, you need to tap it. There is a regulator. But then, like what Jan Shankar is saying, you need to make another canal which brings water down back into parts of Punjab. It was earlier said Haryana will finance it for that water. But in our country, water is a very emotive issue. it is a very vote, linked issue. So they say हम कुछ भी पानी नहीं देंगे हम. So, but pragmatically, we need to do this. Water
Yeah,
is a scarce resource in India.
yeah, I completely agree with you, sir. And I just want to tell everyone, and even General KJ Singh will agree with me. You see, we also have the experience of a successful project in the Indira Gandhi Nehar. ये है नक्शा इंदिरा गांधी नहर का जो हमने हरिके से लिया है just before the Satluj enters Pakistan, a little before that. And वहां से हमने पानी निकाला फिरोजपुर से down south. पीछे it comes from this area of Gidarbaha and all that, enters Rajasthan, and then from Rajasthan it enters Haryana, and then it goes back into Rajasthan, and then it flows right, and this goes right up to Barmer. And this is such a project which we have the experience. I don't know whether anywhere in the world such a project has ever happened, where you have actually greened the entire, border belt. So it is for us to think. It is us as Indians to think. When you could do this, why don't we do there? Because that will give us far greater payoffs than what this has. So your views on this, and then we'll switch to the third topic.
Shankar, you are absolutely right. I belong to the district of Ganganagar, and this was a very signature project. When it was conceived, the basic plan was that steamers from Kandla port will come up to Punjab. That was the planning. But over the years, whatever happened, but currently there is a very vibrant canal. I used to go for exercise in 77 immediately after my commissioning. And in Suratgarh, I used to get off the tank, and tank used to start doing exercise from Suratgarh only. Rajya sir, Arjun sir, these were like villages I still remember. Today, when I was army commander and I retired, we could not find any area for exercise. It's all become green, right till Badmer. What to talk of Ganganagar? Next district is Bikaner, then is Jodhpur, then is Jaisalmer, and then is Badmer. And that canal goes on. Now it is called Sardar's Gopa Sagar Narmada Link Canal. So it is a continuous canal system India has created. It's a fantastic thing. We have rolled the desert back. Something India should salute its farmers and people who made this. Because in Punjab, Bathinda, Sangrur were desert. Today, it's all
It's all
fertile.
green. Yeah.
Then it's very difficult to find desert patches right till Badmer unless you go close to border. So,
Yeah.
hats off. We need
And
to leverage this.
yeah, and I would like to tell everyone at some point at some place where this Indira Gandhi Nehar mein, we've lifted the canal. It's called the Beginner Lift Canal. Beginner ko pani milta hai. The water is lifted. The whole water canal is lifted and then taken. It's an engineering feat by itself. And maybe someday some of you who go there will understand what this is. It has brought fresh life to India in that place. एंड पूरा राजस्थान का जो हरियाली आप देख रहे हो, आप सुनते हो, और वो खुशहाली जो सुनते हो, वो इज बिकॉज ऑफ दिस नहर, राइट? So I want to now digress from this subject of ours and go into Israel a bit. As you have been hearing, or rather, as we know, Israel is fighting with Hamas. Israel is fighting with in Lebanon against Hezbollah. Israel has got a spat today with Houthis, Iran, everyone. And Israel has been following a principle of knocking off their leaders. Hezbollah ka Hassan Nasrallah and their entire leadership they have knocked off. Some time back they knocked off Ismail Haniyeh in Iran. And today the news is that the chap who's taken over and who Yahya Sinwar, who is the mastermind of October 7 attacks last year, I believe he's also been knocked off. I don't know the truth, but the way it is in Twitter and it's coming out of Israeli handles, I think it is right. Now, with the leadership of Hamas almost finished, and despite the leadership of Hamas finished, and despite Hezbollah being, considerably weakened, but still the fighting is going on. So, I would like you to give an assessment. What do you think will be the impact of this leadership being knocked off on this? Do you think
See,
Israel will be able to achieve peace through this
uh,
method of continuing fighting the way it is? Because,
Jan,
as you know, it's very difficult to break ideologies. So, your views on this?
Jan Shankar, see, you have to give credit to Israel for the fact that they have somehow managed to systematically target and take the sting out of that arc of fire which was created around them with Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah, and that militia in Lebanon, and Houthis, and so they have, and you have to give them credit for their intelligence to find and target. Because after all, what I was reading is Yahya Sinwar was following a very novel method of protection. He used to always remain surrounded by hostages, knowing that Israel will not kill them. So Israeli hostages providing security to Yahya Sinwar. He had advertised this. I don't know how much he followed, but this was put out that if you kill him, you will also kill a couple of your own guys who are hostages with them. So, but while I feel for the fact that what Iran did was not correct, you can't terrorize a population by creating this kind of ring. Initially, I also used to be a votary for, Israel to pause, halt, and not do anything. Israel's methods are questionable. There's no doubt about it. They have used disproportionate amount of force. There's no doubt about it. And they have not. But the fact is, the people whom they are fighting, they are having tunnels in hospitals, in schools. They have converted houses into their, and Israel is putting it out. So, and the northern part of Israel, a large number of people have moved out. They're displaced because Hezbollah was incessantly targeting those areas with rockets and all this. So they have to get peace to that area. It's their this thing. But all said and done, I hope now we can never say that an idea like Hamas and Hezbollah can be completely put out. But like ISIS, now we don't hear of ISIS or ISIS K or KP or whatever ISIS L and all these various offshoots. If you hear of it, you hear of it only in some minor incident. So Israel probably has today reduced Hamas and Hezbollah to that state. But to say that this idea will die completely may not be correct. And the very broad concept of regime change in Iran, can it be achieved? Is it possible? Because I'm not too sure, but people who've been ambassadors in Iran, I know two of them. So I ask them occasionally, sir, ye ho sakta hai? Is it possible? He says, buddy, this population is such Shias. They have, you see Muharram, how they self flog themselves, अपने आप को मारते हैं. तो this population can suffer, and they don't mind suffering. So one doesn't know what is the proportion of sensible people in Iran and these radicalized people, because Western media says that it's ripe for a revolution, wherein the Khamenei will be thrown out and moderate elements will take over. But I hope America does it carefully, because our experience of regime change has not been correct, has not been good. You change Shah of Iran and you got this character in. You throw out Saddam and you gave it
Got
to
something.
Iranian soldiers.
Yeah.
In Libya, you threw out Gaddafi and you have more radical people. In Afghanistan, you threw out those communists and you handed over to these bloody Taliban. Sorry, I am sorry to use this word, but they are a government now. So the fact is, I hope they do it correctly if they're doing it. But I myself very confused, viewers, and I share uh, your concern also. We all want this war to come to some kind of a halt. We all want some kind of acceptance of two-state solution. We also want that nobody should create organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis, which can, paralyze, terrorize people. So, but Israel, in my perception, has achieved a peace for at least 5-6 years. Beyond that, we don't know how the game is played out. But they have taken away the capability of these forces to do anything worthwhile to them. This is my reading of it. And I, like you, I hope that after the American presidential election, something happens and they come to some kind of a agreement, some kind of, and because they also deserve peace. Israel has suffered a hell of a lot, and Palestinians have suffered
Even
disproportionately. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you put everything in the right perspective. I just want to add that the Israelis are in some manner running against time, as you mentioned about the election, because depending on the election outcome and who's going to be in become the president of USA, US Israelis seem to be running against the time because they have 1.5 months left to settle to some degree where they have some reasonable amount of peace for some time, like you said. Otherwise, we'll see where this thing goes, and we'll keep analyzing this as we go along. So, with your permission, I'll take a few questions. I know it's a little delayed, but I'll 2-3 questions.
Please.
So, General Dushyant Singh says, General KJ makes complex issues simple. Sir, given today's geopolitical frictions, should we not keep the option of weaponizing water?
Yeah, Chal Dushyant, firstly, you should not be asking questions. You are a guru yourself. So I get amused when a guru starts asking questions. But this is just to pull your leg a bit because I was your boss. So I have a right to joke with you. But the thing is, Jal Dushyant, yes, of course, we should, but we should create capabilities for that. We should, I'm telling you, these reservoirs will be enough to put sense into Pakistan. It's already happening. If we make all these reservoirs on Chenab, Pakistan is in serious trouble. And beyond that, we have to be careful with China because that upper Siang is stalled. We have to convince the population there and create that buffer reservoir to guard against flooding by water jihad by China. That's very important for us. So I'm quite with you. And Jal Dushyant, data is like they say new oil. the data of hydrographics is very important. Our country needs to invest in that.
Yeah, I differ with you only in one issue, sir. That you can, Pakistanis will ever get sense. They'll never get sense whatever you do. We'll have to live with the
Okay.
nonsense or lack of sense from them. Oh, as far as the upper Siang is concerned, I've done a lot of study on this. In fact, I've done a couple of videos on Brahmaputra and the dams on Brahmaputra, because it's not only the Yarlung Zampo dam which they're making; they've got 13 more dams upstream of this. So it's going to have a huge impact, and the incidence of earthquakes also will likely to increase, because in these porous areas, when such a weight of water sits on it, water goes and water itself creates cracks and it might result in earthquakes. That's what happened the Sichuan earthquake in China some time back. But having said all that, I think the day that, so far China has really not started building the dam in seriousness. The day they start doing things in seriousness, that message will come downstream. And automatically people will start realizing that having a dam downstream on our side is their only way out and nothing else. I think naturally things with sense will come into the whole story. That's my way of looking at it. I don't know if you have a different opinion on this. We might
No,
get
I
delayed,
agree
but
with
I
you.
think it's
I agree with you. I agree with you. Communication is way forward. We have to communicate better with these people. They have opinion makers, and I have personally witnessed there. We have a excellent governor over there, Jal Parnaik from Army.
yes,
He is
KT
visiting
Parnaik.
these areas. He is trying to have a dialogue with people, and he's trying to convince them.
Yeah.
It's very
The
important.
second the second point which I want to make is about what General Dushan said about weaponization of water. I think in the Brahmaputra case, there is a scope to weaponize it peacefully. Let me explain. Because Brahmaputra water, as you know, has three nations are involved: Tibet, uh, India, and Bangladesh. Now, this we need to get Bangladesh on our side and explain to them what China is doing. Because in this whole story, if there's one loser, you see, you will have a balancing dam in Upper Siang. In any case, like you said, 40% of water only comes into Brahmaputra from across Tibet. Out of that, 50% comes from Lohit, that you can't stop, and our own basin. Actually, if you see, it's about 20 to 25% only which comes from the main channel from Kepangla. So you will not lose water, and right, but the one who will actually get into major problems is Bangladesh. Because if Bangladesh water doesn't go in adequate quantity, salinity will come up for them in a big manner. So, don't you think we need to weaponize this and this whole thought process to build better bridges with Bangladesh?
Yeah, recently we had a case where Bangladesh unfairly accused us of having caused floods in Bangladesh because of release of water which got into their I think into Jamuna river. They it got into.
Yes.
So uh, there are possibilities, uh, and we. But best course for us is we should sit down with Bangladesh very transparently in a give and take manner. After all, we exchanged enclaves also with Bangladesh, where we gave more than what Bangladesh gave us. We also had a problem of maritime boundary where we yielded
Again, there's
small island, we gave it to them. We gave that Teen Bika corridor, those enclaves. So it's a it's a difficult task. I don't say it is easy, and I would be not. It will be incorrect for me to say it is going to be a song. No, it's going to be a very tedious task. But try we have to, and our actions have to be so transparent and focused and correct and policy oriented. Because today you have a person who's inimical to us, But it is not permanent. He has a finite time. He will go away. And like Muizu change colors, it will happen in Bangladesh also. But the day it happens, they should realize, oh, India has done everything correct. They have followed the correct. They've been considerate about us despite being upper riparian. We should set that example. We should not be placating them or giving away a total share. Like in Tista, we have some issues. But whatever is their fair way, we can give some water to Farakka Barrage, or we can harness some extra water from other tributaries. It's easier said than done. But we should try and do it, look into it.
Yeah, I think so, sir. The last question I'll take, because a lot of comments. You stated that 40 to 50% flow in Brahmaputra is from Sangpo. Will it not impact us and Bangladesh severely if the flow is stopped by China? Look, we've spoken about it. I just want General KJ to reiterate and tell everyone, because I think this is an important point which everyone has to understand.
Like Shankar also told you that besides this Great Bend Dam, Yarlung Zangbo, China is making a series of dams. So they are all going to impact. There's no doubt about it. But what do you do? We have example of Mekong Delta states. We should be prepared for it. We should be prepared for the worst case contingency. Take it, China will do it. If it is anything which is oriented towards mischief, China will do it. Take it like this. So that's why if you create a reservoir like this, then you are damming and storing your water for lean season. Because after all, every year there are floods in Brahmaputra. Every year. So are there methods? Can't we do a better water management? That has to be looked into. So you have a very good question, very good point. But my submission to you is, or short point is, China will do it. Take it and move from there.
Yeah, I think, sir, we've got a lot of clarity on all the issues. Thanks a lot. You spent a lot of time and put it across in a manner which everyone can understand. Without who don't have knowledge also would have understood the whole game by now. Before we sign off, I'd like to tell everyone, don't forget to get hold of General's jottings. And we'll do a special show sometime next week on, we'll understand what he's written. And first, let me get hold of the book. Let me read it myself so that I educate myself, and then we have a discussion on it, right? And we must. And then I'd also like to thank him to give his views about what's happened in Israel, and let's see where it goes. And sir, thanks a lot, sir, and thanks to all the viewers who have joined us.
Thank you, and I especially acknowledge presence of Jan Dushyant Singh, who heads our blog. So you're lucky that we have listeners like him, who doesn't need to. Probably he's a guru. Why he doesn't need to, but he's joining you. So you all should feel good.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, sir, and Jai Hind to you, sir.
Jai Hind. Thank you. Thank you.